Oh, riding powder is a feeling unlike anything else. And from the first time I did it, I knew that I wanted to create a life, to put myself in the position where I could do it as much as possible. It is just so fun. And in this video, I want to give you guys some tips so you can enjoy it as well. Oh my gosh. It is just unreal. So I want you to imagine my hand as a snowflake. The palm of my hand here, that's like the nucleus of the snowflake, and my fingers extend out like the arms of that snowflake. And as they land upon each other, as they stack upon each other in their millions when it snows, it's the air pockets between my fingers, between the arms of the snowflakes, that creates this really light and fluffy powder snow that we love to ride. But the sun is beating down on it, melting those fingers. The wind can pound against it, creating a smaller, more granulated ball rather than this fluffy snowflake. And skiers and snowboarders riding over the top of them as well also compress them down, which makes powder snow quite a rare thing that doesn't last very long. So when it snows and you hear about people talking about a powder day, they're talking about getting out and getting the first tracks in that fresh snow. Because as you can see behind me here, it doesn't take many people to go through it for a piece to become tracked out. And once that happens, it's just not the same. What you really want is like what I just had at the beginning of the video, when you have that whole open face to yourself and you can really pick your line and go wherever you want. That is the ultimate feeling that you want to achieve when you're snowboarding. Now, the first thing you can do to give yourself a fighting chance in the powder is this: learn how to carve. You don't have to be amazing at it, but at least be able to carve on a green slope. And by carving, I mean turning without any skidding. If you look at the track behind me, you should be leaving a nice thin line in the snow. And the reason for this is that, yeah, to be able to carve, you need to have pretty good posture and you need to have pretty good technique. But it's the way you ride the board is very similar to how you're going to ride in powder. When you're carving, like I mentioned, there's no skidding. And the great thing about snowboards is looking down underneath your feet. You know, you've got 150 centimeters or so of this snowboard at your disposal, and you're going to need all that surface area under your feet to keep you afloat in the powder. As soon as you start skidding and turning the board sideways and riding more like this, you've just completely eliminated that surface area under your feet. And right now, I've only got the 25 centimeters or so across the width of the board. And on top of that, you won't be using this bit here, the nose of your board, which if you're tracking your board properly and riding like you do when you carve and having the board always go nose through to tail, this bit here, the nose of your board, is really going to lift you up on top of the snow and help to keep you afloat. So tip number one, teach yourself how to carve. And I'm not going to teach you that right now. I've made a whole host of videos, whole load of videos on that subject, and I'll put them down in the description below. So once you've got that, the next thing you want to do is, don't just dive into a powder field and get yourself stuck, but start somewhere next to the piste. And the thing that people find the most difficult is the actual edge change in the powder. Tip number two is a little bit of speed. But coming back to that, what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to jump in the snow. I'm just going to make a heel side turn, back on the piste. I'm going to go over to the other side, jump in and make my toe side turn. And you're just going to get used to that sensation of riding in the powder. Like I said, you do need a bit of speed, because as soon as you jump in the snow, it's not like on the piste. When you're in this snow, there's a lot of friction against you and it really does slow you down. So that was the heel side turn again. I'm going to jump over in the side. Woo! Toe side turn, and just get used to holding your posture in the right place and feeling the board come around. Now, there is a little bit of a weight shift towards the back of the board, and this is going to depend on what kind of board you're riding. I'm on more of a twinish board, so I'm shifting a little bit of weight to the back. If you're on a full-blown powder board with a giant nose and a set back stance, you won't really have to make many adjustments. And the key is finding the right balance. If you go back too far, which I'll show you right now, okay, you see I've really slowed down. The tail of my board is acting like a rudder in the snow. If you go too forward, I'm not going to show you that, because you're going to go right over the nose of the board and you're going to get yourself stuck. So as I say, start off just jumping off the sides of the piece into the snow, practicing that heel side turn, coming back across, keep some speed. Speed is your friend in powder. Jump up, toe side turn. Woo! Easy. Okay, so now we're ready to start venturing a little bit more into the powder. So once again, get some speed up, then jump on in. And remember, you only need to turn if you need to slow yourself down. So here, it's pretty flat, so I'm not going to turn at all. And my body is in this neutral position. Actually, when you learn to snowboard right at the beginning, when you do that straight running task, this is the position you're in. Feet flat, my weight is a little bit towards the back of the board so that I don't go over the nose. But really, I'm not doing anything at all. And I only start turning as things start to get a little bit steeper and I start to pick up speed. So first, I'm just gonna sink down into my heel edge position. The board's gonna come across, and then I'm just gonna stand up, flatten the board, and then sink down into my toe edge position to come back round this way. Up, sink down a little bit. It's not too steep here, so I'm not really turning much. But I'm a little bit on my heels, and I'm just gonna stand up, sink a little bit onto my toes, just to encourage the board to come around this way. It's flattened off again, so I've come right back to the neutral position. And what you see is that I don't need to turn the board completely 90 degrees across the slope. Instead, I'm just going to gently rock from one edge to the other. There's a bit of a dip here. Woo! Okay, back to the tutorial. So, heel edge position, up, toe edge position, up, heel edge, toe edge, heel edge, toe, sorry, I've got lost here. Toe edge, heel edge, toe edge, heel edge. And I'm just making this small movement up and down to rock my posture between my heel edge posture and my toe edge posture. As it gets flat, you just stay in the middle of the board, not much to do, you just cruise on through. So, once you start to get the basics down, start off on a simple slope like this. I'm next to a green slope, nothing too crazy, and just get used to the sensation of rocking between your two edges in the powder. All right, and then always keep an eye on the piece so that as it does start to flatten out, you can hop yourself back on. Okay, now we're going to move on to something slightly steeper. Now moving on to something a little bit steeper, I'm going to flip the camera around so you can really see my legs working. And like I said, the technique is going to remain much the same, just I'm going to be a lot more active with my movements. What that means is I'm going to get down lower, sink down more on the heel edge, and the same on the toe edge. Lean more into the slope to get the board to come around quicker and make tighter arcs. Woo! And you'll see, because I'm getting down lower on my edge, it's more pronounced the rise I have in between turns as I stand up to aid with that edge change. But really still, one of the most important things you just want to visualize is making those nice clean arcs in the snow like you would when you were carving on the piste, and really not skidding at all. Honestly, it is so much fun. So hopefully now you can see that once you are at that kind of low intermediate level where you're able to carve on mellow green slopes, you really don't have to make that many adjustments to your riding in order to be able to ride some powder. It's a case of adding a little bit of speed, shifting a little bit of weight to the back foot, but really it's just getting your posture spot on, sinking into that heel and that toe side position. And for the edge change, it's all about just standing up, crossing your hips over the board and shifting your weight across the board to sink down onto your new edge. And that is what we call an up unweighted turn. This is the same type of turn we teach beginners, and it's pretty good for all of your riding, to be honest. It really works for everything, and it's easy for beginners to get the grasp of. Get a grasp of. But if you've been watching my channel, you'll know that I'm a big fan of down unweighted turns, and you might be thinking, Malcolm, you've definitely told us that down unweighted turns are so much better for riding in the powder. Now, I don't know why my viewers sound like that, but unfortunately in today's video you do. And yeah, you would be right. And I've made this video up here, which is all about down unweighted turns, which is definitely worth a look at because it is a much more effective way, a more aggressive and powerful way to ride in the powder. But this is more of a beginner tutorial, and these up unweighted turns can get you there. But give that video a watch, and I'll leave you with one more run where I will ride a little bit more in that style, a little bit more aggressively, and you can just see how much performance you can get from the board. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, hit that like and that subscribe button, and let's go snowboarding. All right. Oh yeah. Woo. Yes. Woo. Alrighty, so that'll do it for today. Let me know what else you guys want to learn in the comments down below, and I will see you next time. Woo. I was about to swear. I love it.